Some plants don't just grow, they listen. They absorb what we ignore, the tension in a room, the heaviness of long weeks, the quiet wishes we make when no one's watching. We walk past them, mow over them, trim them back, thinking they are just part of the scenery. But certain plants have carried a deeper role for generations, not ornamental, not even medicinal, but spiritual, protective, and surprisingly lucky. Across cultures and generations, people have quietly relied on plants not just for beauty, but for balance. In old southern homes, a sprig of something green might be placed by the door, just in case. In the desert, travelers tuck leaves into their pocket without ever talking about why. Grandmothers in the Midwest hang bundles above kitchen windows, not because it's trendy, but because it's what their mothers did. And maybe they didn't have the words for it, but they knew some plants hold space for something more. This isn't about superstition or folklore. It's about patterns we've seen but never named. It's about how certain plants show up again and again in homes that feel safe, in lives that seem to shift right when they need to. You might not believe a blade of grass can guard your sleep, or that a flower blooming once every few decades could signal a turning point. But what if belief isn't the point? What if noticing is? In today's video, we'll explore 4 humble plants that may be doing more than decorating your space. Plants that have quietly protected, guided, and even brought unexpected fortune to those who paid attention. No hype, no promises, just an invitation to look again. Because what you've been walking past might just be waiting to help you shift something, quietly, gently, and in its own time. Plant 1. Kogan Grass, small leaves, big shield. You've probably walked right past it, thin, wiry blades sprouting through cracks in concrete or lining the edges of empty fields. No flowers, no fragrance, no reason to pause. And yet for centuries, Kogan grass has been quietly gathered, tied into small bundles and kept close, not because of how it looks, but because of what it does. Not because it's beautiful, but because it's reliable. Kogan grass isn't loud, it doesn't shimmer, but those who understand its quiet strength will tell you it protects. Not in the way a fence protects a yard or a dog guards a home, but in the way a deep breath steadies your body after a long day. In the way silence can soften a hard moment. In rural parts of Asia and beyond, people have long carried this grass in their pockets before long journeys. It was never about folklore, it was about instinct, about noticing how the body relaxes in certain spaces, how the tension eases when something familiar, rooted and grounded is near. Grandmothers in small southern towns tucked it into windowsills. Travelers pressed it between pages of worn journals. It didn't matter how far from tradition they were, something about the grass felt like home. What makes Kogan grass remarkable isn't a myth. It's a pattern, subtle, quiet, but undeniable. Families have reported years of sleep struggles mysteriously easing after placing it under pillows. Some place a few strands in the glove compartment before long drives. Others leave it at the foot of their bed, believing it absorbs what they can't explain. The weight in the air, the unease that lingers after a hard day, the restless energy that sometimes settles in corners of the home. The truth is, our modern lives leave very little room for ancient knowing. We want fast answers, clean science, proof in numbers, but comfort doesn't always speak that language. Sometimes comfort shows up as a simple ritual passed down quietly from hand to hand. Kogan grass is that kind of ritual. It's not flashy, but it's dependable. It's the kind of thing you don't notice until it's gone, or the kind of thing you only try when everything else has failed. There's a story of a woman in Oregon, newly divorced, overwhelmed by the silence of her house. She couldn't sleep. The nights felt heavy, like they were pressing against the windows. Her grandmother mailed her a small bundle of dried Kogan grass with a note that said, "Just place this near where you rest. You don't have to believe in it, just let it be there." She didn't expect it to work, but 3 nights later she woke up realizing she had slept through the night for the first time in months. She still doesn't know how or why, but she's kept that bundle by her bedside ever since. Kogan grass is not a miracle, but it is a companion, a quiet one that does not promise transformation but gently supports it. It's like the kind of friend who doesn't give advice, just sits beside you until your shoulders drop, until you can finally exhale. Some say it senses energy, that it reads the atmosphere of a room and begins to neutralize the static. Maybe it doesn't, or maybe it's just old enough, steady enough to remind you that calm is possible even after the hardest days. Its power lies in its stillness, in its ability to remain rooted in places where nothing else grows, war zones, flood plains, deserted fields. It survives not because it's aggressive, but because it adapts. That energy, resilient, adaptable, quiet, is what it brings into your space. It doesn't chase negativity away with force. It absorbs it, like a sponge taking in what the heart can't hold anymore. You won't find Kogan Grass in fancy stores or polished online boutiques, but you might find it along an old hiking trail or in a yard no one's mowed in years. If you do, pick 3 blades, bring them home, place them somewhere that feels heavy, somewhere that holds memories or grief or noise you can't turn off. Don't expect a show, just notice. Notice if the air feels softer, if your thoughts untangle a little easier, if the tension in your body starts to dissolve without explanation. That's how Kogan Grass works, if it works for you. It won't beg for your attention. It doesn't need you to believe in it, but it does ask you to slow down, to notice, to let something ancient and quiet stand beside you. Because sometimes protection doesn't roar, it whispers. It doesn't shield you with strength, it surrounds you with steadiness. And in a world that often moves too fast, where everything is urgent, loud, and demanding, sometimes the greatest gift is simply knowing you're not alone, even if it's just a few blades of grass tied together resting by your bed, saying softly, "You're safe now, you can rest." Plant 2, White Epiphyllum, the flower that blooms when no one's watching. It doesn't bloom when you want it to. It doesn't respond to sunlight or schedules. It waits for stillness, for silence, for a night when no one is watching. Then under the veil of midnight, the white epiphyllum slowly opens its petals like a secret unfolding. No ceremony, no audience, just one quiet, miraculous bloom in the darkness. And by morning, it's gone. In a world obsessed with being seen, praised, and validated, this flower offers something entirely different. A reminder that some of life's most beautiful transformations happen in private. Quiet doesn't mean insignificant, and blooming in the dark doesn't mean hiding. It means aligning with your own timing. For centuries, the white epiphyllum has been associated with unexpected fortune and personal triumph. Not loud, performative success, but the kind that feels deeply earned. This flower doesn't bloom often. When it does, it's a sign, subtle, powerful, that something is shifting. In ancient households, if the flower opened, it was said to be a good omen, not just for wealth or love, but for clarity, alignment, and deeply personal breakthroughs. There's a story of a man in New Mexico stuck in a years-long career rut. He had a single white epiphyllum on his patio, something he barely remembered watering. One summer night, it bloomed. 3 days later, he got a call for a job he never thought he'd land. He doesn't believe in superstition, but he believes in timing. That's what this flower teaches more than anything: divine timing. It doesn't rush, it doesn't force. It waits until the world is quiet enough to receive it. And maybe that's what we're all being invited to do, to stop performing, to listen inward, to let things bloom when they're ready, not when we're pressured. The epiphyllum reminds us that growth isn't always visible. Some of the most important work happens underground, in the unseen, the quiet, the waiting. We are so used to proving our progress, before and after photos, numbers on a screen, public announcements. But this flower asks nothing of you but presence. Can you be present for your own quiet miracle? Can you hold space for something to unfold in its own time? In traditional households, women would sit in silence beside the flower as it bloomed. No words, just witnessing. Some would make a wish. Others would simply close their eyes and breathe. It wasn't about making something happen. It was about aligning with what already was. That moment, the blooming, the stillness, the breath, felt sacred, and not because of religion or ritual, but because it reminded them that beauty could be both fleeting and eternal. That something so brief could still shift something so deep. There is something powerful about beauty that asks nothing of you. The white epiphyllum never performs. It doesn't grow to impress. It simply follows its nature. And in doing so, it becomes a mirror. When it blooms, it shows us a part of ourselves we often neglect, the part that is beautiful even when unseen, the part that doesn't chase validation, the part that is whole without applause, and that reflection, when witnessed in the quiet hours of night, can be life-changing. You won't find this flower at the grocery store. You won't stumble upon it during a morning walk. It's rare, not because it's expensive, but because it requires patience. It invites you to slow down, to stay up late, to listen closely, and maybe, just maybe, to trust your own slow unfolding, because not all growth is loud, not all progress is immediate, and not all blessings arrive in daylight. The white epiphyllum is also known among some gardeners as the queen of the night. But even that title feels too grand for what it really is. It's not regal, it's real, it's raw, it's a whisper, not a shout. And that's why it touches people so deeply. We don't need more noise in our lives. We need reminders of grace, of timing, of unseen strength. When people speak of luck or fortune, they often think of sudden windfalls or dramatic changes. But what if luck is more subtle than that? What if it's a shift in your body, your energy, your mindset? What if luck is finally feeling peace in a place that's been tense for too long? What if it's the courage to make a decision that's been sitting heavy on your heart? There's a woman in Virginia who kept a journal next to her epiphyllum. She'd write letters to her future self, not knowing when the flower would bloom. And the night it did, she read one of those letters out loud. It spoke of courage, of clarity, of leaving behind something safe but stifling. That night she decided to make a phone call she'd been avoiding for months, not because of the flower, but because in the stillness, something inside her had shifted. That's the real gift of this plant. It doesn't change your life. It creates the conditions for you to hear what needs to be heard, feel what's been ignored, and trust what's quietly emerging. It invites you to witness yourself in your most natural state, unguarded, unforced, unedited. And sometimes that's where everything begins. So if you ever come across a white epiphyllum at a friend's house, in a greenhouse, in the corner of a quiet patio, pause. Ask nothing of it. Say nothing. Just watch. And if it blooms, let it remind you, your timing is sacred. Your quiet is not empty. Your unfolding is enough. And sometimes the most powerful transformations happen not when the world is watching, but when the lights are low, the house is still, and you finally feel ready to open. Plant 3, lemongrass flower money blooms in the kitchen. It starts with a scent, crisp, clean, citrusy, like the smell of a fresh start. Lemongrass doesn't call attention to itself, but it lingers. You walk into a kitchen and it's already there, wrapped around the corners of the room, softening something invisible. For most people, lemongrass is just that, a cooking herb, a scent in a candle, a soothing note in tea. But for those who have lived close to the land or to memory, lemongrass is more than flavor. When it blooms, and it rarely does, it becomes a quiet symbol of timing, transition, and unexpected fortune. The lemongrass flower is elusive. Many grow it for years and never see it. But when it appears, it's never just a flower. It's an event. A pause, a moment that feels like more than coincidence. In older households, especially across southern states where gardens meet stories, a blooming lemongrass plant isn't ignored. Elders don't rush past it. They pause, they reflect. Some light a candle, others whisper a quiet hope into the room. Because when something that rarely blooms suddenly opens, especially in a space like the kitchen, it's hard not to feel like the universe is paying attention. Why the kitchen? Of all places, why does this delicate sign of prosperity choose the room where dishes pile up, where bills are discussed, where arguments echo and meals heal? Maybe because the kitchen is where real life happens. It's not curated, it's not polished. It holds the chaos and the care all at once. And when a flower blooms there, a flower that asks for nothing, it feels like the room is exhaling, like it's telling you something good is on its way. Maybe not loud, but steady. In tradition, the lemongrass flower isn't just admired, it's used. Plucked gently, placed in water, rested in the southeast corner of the home where energy for wealth is said to gather. dried petals stored in wallets, not as superstition, but as a reminder of a moment when hope entered quietly. Some boil the flower and bathe with the infusion, not to change anything instantly, but to mark a shift inside themselves. A decision to stop carrying so much heaviness alone. Stories echo through generations. A woman in Louisiana once lost her job, her marriage, and her sense of direction all in 1 year. She was tired, done. But her grandmother, quiet and firm, handed her a flower from their garden. Lemongrass. It had bloomed for the first time in her lifetime. The older woman didn't explain. She just said, "Put this where your coffee sits." The younger woman didn't believe in omens, but she did as she was told. 3 days later, she got a freelance call that paid more than her last job did in months. Was it magic? She doesn't think so, but it reminded her that stillness isn't the same as stuck, and that's all she needed. There's something powerful about the timing of this bloom. It doesn't arrive when you're expecting it. It doesn't come because you planned well. It comes when something, energy, spirit, the rhythm of your life, has shifted just enough to let it through. And it's that unpredictability that makes it so meaningful. You can't force it, you can only receive it. That alone changes how you move through your day. Less chasing, more noticing. Some still place a petal under their pillow and write a wish, not a demand, but a gentle articulation of what they are finally ready for. Love, closure, a break, a new beginning. The flower doesn't grant it, but it holds it. It gives your longing a place to land. And in a world where we often forget to ask for what we truly need, even that can feel like a miracle. This isn't about mysticism, it's about mindfulness, about seeing the extraordinary tucked inside the ordinary. A lemongrass flower in a messy kitchen, a breath of calm during a week of chaos, a bloom in the middle of bills and to-do lists and sleepless nights. And that's why it matters, because it doesn't bloom in perfection. It blooms in reality, in your real life. High above the noise, this flower says something simple. You're still growing, even here, even now. A man in Ohio once said that after his lemongrass bloomed, he didn't win the lottery or land a promotion. But he slept through the night for the first time in a year. He stopped grinding his teeth. He felt calmer. And in that calm, he realized what needed to change. Not everything outside of him, just the way he'd been treating himself. Sometimes wealth isn't money. Sometimes fortune is peace. Sometimes it's a tiny white flower opening in a forgotten corner of your kitchen, reminding you that you haven't missed your moment, that your story is still unfolding, and that maybe, just maybe, something beautiful is about to begin. Quietly, like lemongrass blooming while no one is watching. Plant 4, bamboo flower, the once-in-a-lifetime shift. They say it happens once. Not once a year, not once a decade, once in a lifetime. A bamboo plant grows tall, strong, and silent, patient for years, sometimes for decades, without ever blooming. And then one day, without a sign or a reason, it flowers. But when it does, it's not a celebration, it's a release. Because when bamboo flowers, it dies. That truth gives the bloom its weight. In many traditions, bamboo flowering isn't seen as a tragedy. It's seen as transformation, an irreversible shift, a turning point that marks the end of one life and the beginning of another. This flower doesn't arrive to decorate. It arrives to declare something has ended and something else is about to begin. There's nothing ornamental about a bamboo flower. It's not delicate or dazzling, but it carries a force, an invisible pressure that has been building under the surface for years. When it blooms, it says you've reached the edge of who you were. You're about to become something else. In homes that still carry the old stories, a bamboo bloom is met with reverence. People don't panic, they pause, because it's never just about the plant. It's about the person standing beside it. There's a woman in Oregon who had a bamboo plant in her sunroom for 25 years. It was quiet, just part of the background. Then one winter morning, she noticed the bloom, small, rough, reaching. That same week, she filed for divorce after decades of quiet suffering. Not because she believed the flower changed her, but because it reminded her she was allowed to bloom, too, even if it meant letting go of the life she'd built. The bamboo flower doesn't appear during moments of triumph. It shows up in the stillness, often in grief, fatigue, or quiet confusion. And that's how it delivers its lesson. Not everything that ends is a failure. Some things end because they are complete, and your body, your energy, your soul knows it before your mind does. In Southeast traditions, petals from bamboo flowers are often dried and buried under new seeds. A ritual of surrender, a quiet offering to the future, not because you need to forget the past, but because you trust that what's coming is rooted in everything you've already endured. The bloom says, release the scaffolding that once held you. Let go of the structure that once saved you. You're not collapsing, you're clearing. You're making room for what couldn't land while you were holding on so tightly. There's a man in Tennessee who kept a dried bamboo bloom in a shadow box by his door. It reminded him of the year everything ended. His business, his marriage, his identity. But it was also the year he moved into the smallest apartment of his life, slept better than ever, and finally wrote the novel he'd been thinking about for 20 years. He called it his most painful, most honest, most freeing year, because the bamboo flower didn't bring him happiness, it brought him truth. In American life, we don't often talk about endings this way. We see them as loss, as weakness. But bamboo teaches something different, that some endings are not collapses, they are awakenings. That the bloom at the end is not a goodbye, but a rebirth. There's power in waiting. The bamboo flower reminds us that growth isn't always visible. Sometimes life is building underground, deep, dense. Unseen, you won't get applause for that kind of growth. But one day when it's ready, it rises, without permission, without warning. Because transformation doesn't wait for perfect timing, it arrives when it's necessary. And when it arrives, you'll know. You'll feel it, not in fireworks, but in the deep exhale that follows surrender. In the phone call you finally make. In the decision you've been circling for years but suddenly make with no hesitation. In the room that feels lighter after you've said the thing you never thought you'd say. That's the energy of the bamboo flower. It doesn't knock, it appears. And it says, gently but firmly, you are not who you were, let that be enough. So if one day your bamboo blooms, or if your life feels like it's blooming into something unfamiliar, even uncomfortable, pause. Don't rush to label it. Don't panic, just notice. Let the flower speak for you. Let it remind you that change isn't chaos. It's clarity, even if it comes with loss, even if it feels like an ending. Sometimes the most sacred shift doesn't come with music or miracles. It comes in the shape of a simple bloom. A sign that says, you made it through. Now begin again. Final, maybe you didn't expect to feel something from a blade of grass or a flower that only blooms in the dark. Maybe you thought this was just another list, another video about plants. But if you've stayed, if you've listened, then you know this wasn't really about the plants. It was about you. Each of these 4 quiet beings, Kogan Grass, White Epiphyllum, Lemongrass Flower, Bamboo Bloom, they don't shout, they don't demand, they wait. And in their waiting, they reflect something back to us, our own restlessness, our own longing, our own invisible turning points. Kogan Grass shows up when your spirit is tired but still searching for safety. White Epiphyllum blooms when no one is watching, reminding you that beauty doesn't need an audience to be real. Lemongrass blossoms quietly in the kitchen, the center of daily chaos, offering small hope in the places we almost stop believing. And bamboo waits a lifetime to bloom once, only to surrender its entire self in the name of change. These aren't just plants, they are mirrors. They show us how transformation actually looks, subtle, slow, often invisible until it isn't. Science might call this biology, spirituality might call it energy. But somewhere in between lies something deeper, a truth your body recognizes even if your mind resists it. That healing is never loud, that fortune is often quiet, and that the most powerful shifts in your life rarely come with noise. So if today you feel stuck, if your joy feels out of reach, if you've been holding your breath for too long, remember these 4, not as answers, but as companions. Let their stories linger a little longer in your space. Thank you for letting your heart stay open, for being here even in your quiet questions. I hope you find your bloom in the most unexpected places. And when you do, may it be gentle, may it be enough.